Hi everyone, how are we doing today? Welcome. My name is Teresa and this is Tech Journey. This is a space where we are talking about growth, clarity, how we are navigating this world that is constantly changing with technology, especially AI. We are not talking about being overly technical here or trying to be expert. We're just learning as we go, thinking clearly, and how to move forward one step at a time. So I'm happy to have you here, and I hope you will learn about my journey as I learn about yours too. So, for today's topic, we're going to be talking about something that we all struggle with, but we hardly talk about it. And that is underestimating our voice. We are so keen about, we don't like to use our voices. We always shy, scared, you know, like I always say, no, who's gonna listen to me mindset. And today I want us to understand how building our voice also helps with confidence. And what do I mean by that? I know from my background, we grew up with being humble and we're trained in a certain way and our culture. You're trained to don't speak up or don't, even with your achievements, you learn to downplay it, especially for the women. And so we have been accustomed to, even when we are supposed to showcase ourselves, speak up, use that voice, and show who we truly are and help one another or each other, we tend to go to the sideline or don't use it at all or try to use it in a more subtle way. So, and I noticed that we're a lot that is going through it. It's not just me. I know I have suffered through it. I still go through it because that's the way I grew up. And I'm also learning to, change that way of using my voice. So today I'll be going over 4 to 5 practical ways we can start building our voices in a way that will help us not only build our confidence, but also help to move us to whether it's in our career, in our businesses, in our personal life. Because at the end of the day, the growth is to see how that will impact other aspects of our life. So the first way is practice hearing your own voice. What do I mean by that? I know some people like you think you just, when you just speak to somebody. No, but practice hearing your own voice in the sense that, let's say you read a book, try reading out loud so that you can hear yourself. Try staying in front of a mirror to talk to yourself and practice what you want to say, how you want to say it, the way you want it to come out. That is number one way of doing that. Because I've noticed that most times when we read silently. And when I'm reading and I read out loud, I tend to hear myself. And also, that also helps me to understand certain words that maybe I'm not familiar with. I tend to pronounce it out loud because that helps me to kind of remembering when the time comes that I want to use it, or even at least understand the tone and how it's supposed to be pronounced. So that's number one way of doing that. Another way is speak before you feel fully become confident. It's not going to change overnight, but the more you practice speaking up, learning to talk to people, and being the one that sometimes my friends will be like, IJ is always the one that will be like, say hi first. I have to learn that. I learned to say hi first because it was something that I started learning. I had to learn to be the one like, oh hi, my name is Teresa. Oh hi, whatever, whatever is the situation, just introduce yourself first. So practice to speak before you fully feel confident. That's number two. Number three is separate guidance from self-doubt. The same thing is, we're so used to, we listen to friends, family, authority figures, social media, and before we know it, it starts to put self-doubt in us. Let me give you an example. So let's say you're used to following a route to school or to work, and you've been doing this, say, for the past 5 years, and that nothing was wrong with it. And then one day somebody tells you, like, oh, that's where you follow to go? Man, there's traffic over there. And you're like, okay. You're like, yeah, try and use this other route. Now you might still decide to go with that route because that's your normal route, but now when you're going back to that route, it puts you in a subconscious mind of trying to now remember that thing the person told you. Bear in mind, they're not telling you this because they mean this bad or something. No, they mean well for you. It's just that sometimes when you have done your own research, when you have done, about what you're trying to do, sometimes when we listen to other voices, it kind of changes how we view that, how we execute that, how we do what we wanted to do. Like I said, not because it's bad, it's just sometimes those voices help us start second guessing what we want to do. And it's not left for us to now apply wisdom to that thing they're telling us and how we can approach it in a better way. That is number three. Number four is train your voice like a skill. What do I mean? We have to practice, be intentional. If you're the type that speak 100 words per minute, you can practice speaking more slowly. You can practice being your tone, especially if depending on how everybody is perceived. Like I said, I have had examples. I remember one time back in school, and my professor, she told me, she was like, not because nobody can understand what you're saying, but you have to learn to speak slowly. And I was like, okay, I learned that, and I started practicing that, how to speak slowly, because I can speak 1,000 words per minute. So I started learning how to speak slowly so that people can understand me. So those are the skills that we can practice. That's the way we can help change how we use our voices, how we use it to better ourselves, because the more you practice those things, now you feel more confidence to talk. And the final one is use your voice in a meaningful way. So what do I mean by this? When we are at work and you're in meetings, you have an idea that you truly believe is going to be for the betterment of the company, for your business. Use that voice. Stop being too shy to be like, oh, can I speak? No. You know what you want to talk about. Speak boldly about it. You have done your research. Even in college, you know how some kids, when you're in class, you do not want to, during the school days, you do not want to be the student that asks the questions. Learn to ask that question. There is no question that is a stupid question. Professors even love when people ask questions. I used to be that child. I started learning because I did all this. I started learning in class. I'll be the one to ask that question that every other person wants to know but is too shy to ask. I'll volunteer and I'll ask that question. And most times, I'm not even the only one that needed the answer. So, those are ways that we can use our voice to do meaningful things. Also, we can also use our voices to encourage others. Like I said, you can see somebody, be like, hey, have a good day, good morning, hi, how's it going? So yes, we use our voices, compliment other people, you know help to encourage other people, and that is also a way to build our voice and our confidence. Is those are the little things we all can do to help better ourselves, and those also, by the time we do it every day repeatedly, we see that we can able to use it in our professional life, in our businesses, in our personal life. So I hope that those 5 points, you'll be able to find one that you can implement today and be able to move forward with it. Your voice gets stronger the more you use it. So I hope until next time, today's episode, you have learned one or two things. And thank you again for stopping by. My name is Teresa, and this is Tech Journey. Bye.